Welcome to the Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renee Patrice. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast once again. This has been something that has bothered me over the past, couple of weeks or so, and I just wanted to touch on this and talk about, because this also has to do with business. AOC, our wonderful representative who represents a section of the Bronx and also in Queens, and if you're not sure who AOC is, she's one of our United States representative, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, okay? But she goes by AOC. Wonderful lady. I wanted to read this. I screenshot this. I don't think you'll be able to see this in her stories because by the time this gets recorded, it will probably be past the 24-hour mark, but I wanted to read this because she always does questions in her stories, and she's very open and very, transparent. And a person asked about the baby formula shortage, which is pretty much at crisis level right now. But I wanted to shed some more light on this because I have a really big issue with corporate greed, and that's something that I've spoken about many times on here, things that I have gone to conferences and meetings and things like that. And when you are dealing with companies that are monopolizing part of the market, people look at it like, oh, that's great, they're taking over this market or whatever. When you become a monopoly, which is illegal, it really causes these type of problems. So I'm literally going to read what she posted because I feel like this was one of the better explanations that's out there, and why recreate the wheel. So somebody said, is there a solution and end in sight to the baby formula shortage? And she said, yes, thank goodness help is on the way. This has been a scary event for families with newborns. This week, the White House authorized Operation Fly Formula, which means the U.S. is working with allies to begin imports of baby formula that meet U.S. safety standards to make up for the current shortage. The first shipment of over 1 million bottles is currently on its way from Switzerland. The White House also invoked the Defense Production Act this week to kickstart domestic production as well. But I think it's important that we understand how we got here and how this happened and how to prevent it from happening again. All right? So, corporate monopolies are a major reason behind the baby formula shortage. So what happened here? Well, do you know that the entire U.S. infant formula market is controlled by just 3 companies? Now, I'm going to interject here that this is Renee talking here. That is such a dangerous situation. That would be like one person controlling all the water. You see like where that's going? That is such a dangerous situation to be in, which is why having monopolies over specific things in the market are so dangerous, and in some cases illegal. I don't know all the legalities as far as baby formula, but I know with certain things you cannot have monopolies on. It's actually illegal. This is going to shed light on how vulnerable our system really is. Okay, so let me get back to what she's saying. That means if something happens to one supplier, the entire supply is crippled, and that's exactly what happened. This is actually a growing structural problem within huge parts of our food system overall, but it hit infant formula now in a big way. Here's how it went down. In February, Abbott Laboratories recalled all of its most popular formula after 4 babies became sick with bacterial infections after consuming some of their products. Around this time, the FDA inspections of Abbott's formula factories got so bad that after repeated attempts and warnings, the factory had to be shut down. It was just too dangerous. So, Abbott, which controlled 48% of the market, halted production. On top of that, about half of all formula in the U.S. is acquired through the Women, Infants, and Children program. This is known, if you guys know, this is known as the WIC program. Okay? And a lot of cost-cutting laws have been set up around WIC that don't make it easy for the program to switch from one formula company to another. So with the powers of capitalism and retro 90s neolibertarianism combined, an infant formula shortage was born. She says, my color commentary. This problem is showing up as a crisis in infant formula now, but the underlying forces causing the shortage are there throughout our entire food system, among others. Okay, so I just gave you kind of like the overview. This is such a serious situation, and this is on a smaller scale, even though if you have a child that is dependent on formula, I am pretty sure that this is a scary situation to be in. And I'm telling you, like, I can't even imagine. This is a precursor to what can really go on. So from an organic perspective, I'm just going to say this. And this is not necessarily with the baby formula, but this is just in general. I had convinced my mom over the pandemic. She was like, "Oh, I don't think I'm gonna plant anything this year." Blah blah blah. You know, I said, "No, you need to plant stuff." And the reason why I told her to do that, I said, because what if there's a food shortage, which there was for quite some time. The first 6 months of the pandemic, you couldn't, at one point, at one of the stores that I normally shop at and was getting grocery deliveries from, let me tell you something. They weren't even letting you get more than 4 cans of tuna at a time. 1 package of cheese. You know what I mean? You couldn't get 2 gallons of milk. That was unheard of. Lysol, forget it. Could you even get Lysol? Probably not. And if you could, they were only allowing 1 can. And everybody wanted Lysol. It's still, let me tell you something. Depending on where you are, it's still hard to find Lysol in some places. Because anytime there's spikes and, things going on or whatever, people tend to, hoard them and all this. It was crazy. I couldn't get toilet paper for months. Months. Not just toilet paper. I was resorting to paper towels, and then people started picking up on that, and everybody started getting paper towels. Everything was sold out in the store except for dinner napkins, and then after a while, there wasn't even dinner napkins in the store. It was insane. I remember I got a huge roll of toilet tissue, the kind that you see at the airport in the industrial bathrooms. I went to a website for janitors, okay, to buy toilet paper. It came with 3 huge rolls. 1 roll, I think, was the equivalent, I want to say it was like the equivalent of like 6 rolls of Scott tissue or whatever. I did not have to buy toilet paper for a whole year. It was insane. But it was this huge roll. And it can't go on to, the roll that you have in your bathroom. So I had to sit it in a little box on my, on the counter, the sink counter in my bathroom. It was insane. People were hoarding everything they could, especially baby products. baby diapers, baby wipes, all kinds of stuff. So we have seen what restriction can do. Remember when there was a meat shortage? People couldn't get meat. You were restricted to how many packs of, people buy those long packs of chicken. You were only restricted to one. So we were dealing with that during the pandemic, right? On kind of a smaller scale. This is really serious because now we're talking about nutrition for babies and toddlers. You know what I mean? And then you had some fool people, and I'm going to mention y'all in here too, because I just can't believe that people are so ignorant in this 2022. People are like, well, then the mothers just need to breastfeed. Do you understand how many women cannot breastfeed? For whatever reason. Some women can't breastfeed because their milk never came in. Some women can't breastfeed because babies won't latch. All kinds of stuff. Some women can't breastfeed their own children because their child is sick or they are sick. And they're taking a medication that they cannot pass on to baby or whatever. There's so many different things that women go through. So many things. So don't just assume that because a woman has given birth that, she's got plenty of milk. All she has to do is get to breastfeeding. Like, it's so simple. Like, listen, I'm trying to be cool, but I'm going to say some of y'all are real dense out there. And, I know that's not the nicest thing to say, but I really have to say it because come on. Y'all can't be this slow. Seriously. Google something sometime. Look some things up. I understand people are not going to know everything. I get it. But if I am not well versed in something, I head straight to Google and I look around and find different sources, credible sources that always on time with the research, and find some things out. It's so incredibly dunce cap of some people to say to a woman, well, just breastfeed. Like, it's so simple. You have no idea what goes on with women's bodies. All the more reason for this government to get up out of women's uteruses on top of that. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know half of what women can go through. And then if you're a woman who has given birth to a child and understand all of what that entails, only then some of the men in their lives will kind of understand. And even they have seen the woman pregnant the whole 9 months, seen the baby come out, maybe even help deliver their own child, and even still not understanding. It's not that hard to read a book. It's not that hard to look something up on the web. We got to educate ourselves. We can't say, well, I didn't know. I just didn't know. There's so much information out there now. There's so much information. My thing is, if you are on social media 24/7 and you're clicking like on this and like on that, and you're downloading every single app to watch every show on television to your phone, you can Google some things and learn. And I'm not going to keep excusing people or whatever, especially if I know you got a smartphone and you use it for everything else. There are major things happening in this country. We need to pay attention. I don't think that people thought this baby formula thing was so big. When it first started, I said, let me pay attention to this. And I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have children. But I have people close to me who have children. I have helped to put children out there, bringing them to school, help raise children. You cannot be, in this day and age, in 2022, we can't afford to be this ignorant. We cannot. That's not an excuse anymore. Anytime somebody says, oh, girl, I didn't know. How do you didn't know? You on your phone 24/7. We have to learn how to pay attention to some things other than just social media. Because this is literally a crisis. There are people who are driving 4 and 5 hours and then when they get to the store, to get the 1 can of formula, because these things come in these cans with the tops that you peel off or whatever. They go to get the formula, and then they're only allowing 1 can per person. You know what I'm saying? So it just gets crazy. So I posted this on my Facebook last week, and I'm going to share it on here as well, because I was thinking that, this has been going on for a few weeks now. I thought this whole thing would have ended by now. But what I am going to tell you guys is that if you're not familiar with online shopping, definitely get your online shopping on Amazon.com. Go on Amazon.com, but you're not going to find much when you search in America. But remember, Canada, our great friend to the north of us, has plenty of supply, and they don't have a shortage going on. So when you go onto Amazon.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, right? Scroll down to the bottom of the page and change the country to Canada. And when you change it to Canada, oh my gosh, I will tell you, they have every formula, even the specialty formulas for children that have iron deficiencies and all of that sort of stuff. They have every formula in stock, ready to go. And you can order it and it comes right to your door, no problem. So we got to start thinking ahead. We got to start thinking, as they say, outside the box. And I think a lot of people were like, oh my goodness, people were searching all over America, for different stuff, trying to get stuff shipped from other stores and other states and all of that sort of thing. But check with Canada, because Canada has a whole lot of product on their hands. I'm not trying to, start a thing where we're draining Canada of stuff, but it's a dire situation, and you've got a lot of newborn babies. We got all these pandemic babies out here. We got a lot of newborn babies, and they don't have formula, and the mothers are not able to breastfeed. So, and when you get, if you're able to get more than one, definitely get a couple of them. If you can afford to get a couple of them, if you buy 4, give 1 or 2 away to, a shelter, because they also have young children. They also have babies. Women's shelters, battered women who are getting out of bad situations that may have babies or young children that are dependent on formula. If you get something for yourself, think of your fellow man as well, and make sure to if you're a part of an organization or your church. I know my church here in Georgia gives back tremendously, tirelessly. I don't even know how they do it. And it's just amazing the way people come there with, non-perishable goods and all that sort of stuff. So here we are again with this. But let's not be ignorant. I know I'm a little bit, tougher conversation, but I'm sorry. I'm not giving any excuses for people not knowing things. You know what I'm saying? Because you can look stuff up. If somebody tells you something, you're like, man, I wonder, what's that about? Google it. Familiarize yourself. We cannot afford to be this ignorant around these things. I hear some new phrase or some new thing, I go look it up. I want to be well versed. I don't want anybody to just unfurl. And there are many things that we don't know. But once somebody says something to you, once you have heard it, you can't unhear it. You can't unsee it. Go dig a little bit and find out the backstory. Because I heard about this baby formula thing, and I'm saying to myself, what, how? This doesn't make any sense. There's so much baby formula in all the stores. What's going on? How could this possibly happen? And look at this now. It really comes down to corporate greed, because if one company controls 48% of the supply, that's half. That's just about half the supply. And they had to literally stop production. This is insane. So I beg of you people, please Educate yourself on things like this. Anytime you see there are representatives or senators or your elected officials who support this foolishness, you have to vote them out. We've got voting coming up in November. Vote these people out. Anyone who would side with something like this, anyone that would agree with these sort of practices, these devious business practices, when you see there are a bunch of representatives or senators that support corporate greed, you have to vote them out. Because look at how something so simple as baby formula has become literally a national crisis. We have to pay attention from the top down of everything that is going on. We have to not only know the name of our senators, the name of our, representatives and our local politicians, but you need to actually go to their website, listen to some of their speeches and hear what it is that they are saying. Who are they trying to help? Are they trying to help you, the citizen, or are they trying to line their pockets? Which one is it? Because there is no reason why all of us out here still paying $4 and $5 for a gallon of gas. That's another thing. But we've become so complacent, they're hardly even talking about the gas prices anymore because we've just become so used to it. No, we have to keep making noise about these things. Because once you become complacent, you don't speak up. Silence is acceptance. So let this be like the warning to people, because I know baby formula is only going to, affect a small amount of the population because most people obviously are adults and eat regular food. But this is kind of like shining a light on an area for us to be careful going forward. That doesn't mean it can't happen with the food supply. We saw a slight piece of that during the height of the pandemic when we were in lockdown. All right, you guys, we got to get with the program. It's 2022. I know we say this every year. Oh, it's 2021. Oh, it's 20. No. This is a serious thing. This is very serious. And the fact that this is affecting WIC, the WIC program is in communities that are marginalized. Okay? WIC is for it, the Women, Infants, and Children program is specifically for women, infant, and children in marginalized communities. And look how it's affecting them. All right, I'm off my soapbox. Like, share, subscribe to this podcast. Forward this link to this podcast to someone that you know would find it helpful. We talk about all things lifestyle on here, but from the small business entrepreneur perspective, but anyone can find some gems on the Queenslayer, okay? Follow me on Instagram at Onyx Queen Media. Tag me and let me know you're listening. I will repost you in my stories for a shout out. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. Online savings simplified. Don't search for coupon codes ever again. With one click, Honey's smart shopping assistant will automatically apply discounts to your cart in seconds. Save on all your favorite things. Easily pay less for products you're already buying online. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Join Honey for free. It takes 2 clicks to add Honey to your Chrome, Safari, Firefox, or Opera browser. Find savings in seconds. While you shop, Honey will find working promo codes across the entire internet, and you save instantly. With one click, Honey will apply the best deals to your cart. It's that easy. So what are you waiting for? Get Honey. Download it today. Visit our link, www.tinyurl.com. tinyurl.com/ONYXHONEY. That's www.tinyurl.com/onyxhoney. Start saving right now.